Listen carefully, because this might hit harder than anything you've heard today. You're not confused. You're not lost. You're not waiting for the right time. You're lying to yourself. That's the truth nobody wants to face. You already know what to do. You knew it yesterday. You knew it last week. You knew it the moment that idea first hit your mind. But instead of acting, you started negotiating with yourself. You started making excuses sound like logic. You told yourself, I'll start tomorrow. I just need more time. I'm not ready yet. No, you're ready. You're just scared. And fear has a slick way of dressing itself up like comfort. You sit there scrolling, watching other people win, telling yourself their time will come down and yours will come up. But deep down, you know something ain't right. Because every day you delay, you're building a habit not of success, but of avoidance. Let me tell you something real. Your life doesn't change when you feel motivated. Your life changes when you get honest about your habits, honest about your discipline, honest about the fact that you're choosing comfort over growth. That dream you keep talking about, it's not waiting on luck. It's waiting on you. And the longer you lie to yourself, the further it gets. You say you want success, but your actions say you want convenience. You say you want change, but your routine says you love staying the same. That gap right there, that's where your failure is hiding. Now here's the turning point. Stop asking, what should I do? Start admitting, why am I not doing it? Because once you face that truth, everything shifts. You don't need another motivational video. You don't need more advice. You need to move, take the step, make the call, start the work, cut the distraction, fix the habit. No more waiting, no more pretending, no more lies, because at the end of the day, there's one question you can't escape. If you already know what to do, then why aren't you doing it? That answer right there, that's the only thing standing between you and the life you keep saying you want. Now go fix it. Let's get one thing straight right now. You're not stuck because you don't know what to do. You're stuck because you keep choosing not to do it. That's a hard truth, but it's the one that will set you free if you face it head on. You keep telling yourself you're confused. You say you need more clarity, more guidance, more time to figure things out. But if you strip away all the noise and distractions, you already have the answer. It's been sitting in your mind this whole time. That idea you keep pushing aside, that action you keep delaying, that decision you keep avoiding. You know exactly what it is. The problem isn't confusion. The problem is avoidance. Because the moment you admit you already know what to do, you lose the right to keep making excuses. And that's uncomfortable. It's easier to pretend you're still figuring things out than to accept that you've been holding yourself back on purpose. You hide behind uncertainty because it gives you an escape route. As long as you say, I don't know, you don't have to act. But deep down, you do know. You know you need to wake up earlier, but you keep hitting snooze. You know you need to put in the work, but you keep choosing distractions. You know you need to step out of your comfort zone, but you keep staying where it feels safe. That's not confusion. That's a decision. And every time you make that decision, you reinforce a pattern. You train your mind to believe that avoiding action is acceptable. Over time, that becomes your default setting. Not because you're incapable, but because you've gotten comfortable ignoring what you already understand. Let's be real. Clarity isn't something you wait for. Clarity comes from action. You don't think your way into a better life. You work your way into it. Every step you take sharpens your direction. But when you sit still, overthinking and second-guessing everything, you create the illusion that you're making progress when you're actually just standing still. You don't need another plan. You don't need another video. You don't need someone to come and tell you what you already know deep inside. What you need is the courage to stop lying to yourself and admit the truth, because once you do that, everything changes. You stop waiting. You stop hesitating. You stop pretending, and you start moving. The life you want isn't blocked by a lack of knowledge. It's blocked by a lack of honesty. The moment you get real with yourself, the path becomes clear. And once it's clear, there's only one question left. Are you finally going to act on what you already know, or keep pretending you don't? You don't have a planning problem. You have an excuse problem dressed up to look intelligent. That's the game you've been playing on yourself. You're not just making excuses, you're making them sound so reasonable that you start believing them. I'll start tomorrow. I just need more time. I need to learn a little more first. On the surface, that sounds responsible. It sounds like you're being thoughtful, careful, even strategic. But let's cut through it. If it was really about planning, you would have started by now. If it was really about preparation, you would have taken at least one step. If it was really about timing, you wouldn't keep pushing it back every single time. What you're calling logic is just fear wearing a suit. Fear doesn't always show up loud. It doesn't always scream and tell you to quit. Sometimes it whispers. It tells you to wait. It tells you to think it through one more time. It tells you to gather more information. It tells you that you'll be better tomorrow than you are today. And every time you listen to that voice, you delay your own progress. Here's the dangerous part. Because it sounds smart, you don't challenge it. You accept it. You convince yourself you're being productive when you're actually just postponing action. You feel busy, but you're not moving forward. You feel like you're getting ready, but you never actually step into the game. That's how people stay stuck for years. They don't fail because they're lazy. They fail because they're trapped in a cycle of almost starting, almost committing, almost changing, always one step away, but never fully in. Let's be honest. How many times have you told yourself, I'll start tomorrow? And when tomorrow came, what happened? You found another reason, another excuse, another perfectly crafted explanation that made it okay to wait just a little longer. That's not coincidence. That's a pattern. And patterns, if you don't break them, will build your future for you. You have to understand this. Action creates clarity, not the other way around. You don't wait until everything makes perfect sense. You move, and then things start to make sense. But when you sit there trying to think your way into the perfect moment, you trap yourself in endless preparation. Perfection is just procrastination in disguise. You don't need the perfect plan. You need a decision, a real one. The kind where there's no backup excuse waiting in the corner. The kind where you stop negotiating with yourself and start holding yourself accountable. Because right now, you're negotiating your dreams down to the level of your comfort. And comfort will never take you where you said you wanted to go. So the next time you catch yourself saying, I'll start tomorrow, stop right there. Recognize it for what it is. Not logic, not planning, not strategy. It's fear trying to keep you exactly where you are. And the only way to beat it is simple. Do it anyway. The moment you start choosing comfort over growth, you don't just slow down your progress. You quietly start shrinking your future. Let that sink in, because fear doesn't always show up as panic or running away. Most of the time, it shows up as comfort. It convinces you to stay where things feel easy, familiar, and predictable. It tells you, why stress yourself? You're fine here. And the dangerous part is, it feels right in the moment. It feels safe. It feels like you're protecting yourself, but you're not. You're actually locking yourself inside a version of life that never expands. Comfort is not your friend. It is the most silent form of resistance you will ever face. It doesn't attack you. It doesn't fight you. It simply keeps you still. And stillness, over time, becomes stagnation. That's how people wake up years later, wondering where their time went, wondering why nothing changed, wondering why their dreams still feel far away, because they stayed comfortable. Every level of growth demands discomfort. That's not a motivational line, it's reality. You don't get stronger in the gym by lifting what feels easy. You don't build discipline by doing what feels convenient. You don't create a new life by repeating the habits of your old one, but comfort makes everything else feel like too much effort. It convinces you that starting tomorrow is okay, that skipping today won't matter, that you deserve rest even when you haven't earned progress. And slowly, without noticing it, you start building a life centered around avoiding discomfort instead of chasing growth. That's where fear becomes powerful. Not when it stops you, but when it persuades you. It tells you that discomfort means danger. But in reality, discomfort often means development. Every time you feel resistance when doing something important, that's usually the exact moment where change is happening. But instead of pushing through it, comfort whispers louder. It tells you to step back, to pause, to wait for a better moment, and you listen not because you're weak, but because comfort is persuasive. It doesn't shout, it seduces, it makes staying the same feel acceptable. But here's the truth that changes everything. Your future is not built in comfort zones. It is built in moments where you choose discipline over ease, action over delay, and growth over safety. The problem is, comfort always promises you peace today, but steals your potential tomorrow. It gives you short-term relief, but long-term regret. And if you keep choosing it, you won't notice the damage immediately. You'll just slowly realize you're still in the same place while time has moved far ahead of you. Real growth demands that you become comfortable with being uncomfortable. It means doing what you said you would do even when you don't feel like it. It means showing up when your mind is telling you to delay. It means accepting that discomfort is not a warning sign. It's a signal that you are moving in the right direction, because every time you step away from comfort and into challenge, you are not losing peace, you are building power, and that's the trade you have to make if you want your life to actually change. The life you say you want is not being blocked by luck, timing, or opportunity. It's being exposed by your daily actions. That's the truth most people avoid because it forces accountability. You can talk about success all day. You can plan it, visualize it, even explain it to other people like you're already on your way there. But none of that carries weight if your daily actions tell a different story. Because life doesn't listen to what you say once in a while. It responds to what you do every single day. Your habits are speaking louder than your goals. You say you want to be successful. But how do you spend your time when nobody is watching? You say you want discipline, but what do your mornings look like? You say you want a better future, but what are you consistently doing today to earn it? These answers don't lie. They reveal everything. And here's where it gets uncomfortable, because your actions don't just reflect your priorities, they define them. Not your intentions, not your hopes, your actions. That means every small decision matters more than you think. Every time you choose distraction over focus, you're casting a vote for the life you're currently living. Every time you delay important work for something easy, you are reinforcing a pattern. And patterns don't stay small. They grow. They become identity. They become lifestyle. This is why so many people feel stuck, not because they don't dream big, but because their daily behavior is too small for their vision. There's a gap between what they want and what they consistently do. And that gap doesn't close with motivation. It closes with discipline. You can't outtalk your routine. If your routine is built on comfort, distraction, and delay, then your results will reflect exactly that. No matter how big your dreams are, your daily actions are setting the ceiling. That's why some people stay in the same place for years, while others rise faster. Not because they're smarter, but because they are consistent in doing what others avoid. And consistency doesn't lie. It exposes you. You might tell yourself you're serious about change, but seriousness is not measured in words. It is measured in repetition. What do you repeat daily? What do you return to even when it's hard? What do you do when motivation is gone? Because that's where real character shows up. At the end of the day, your actions are like receipts They show exactly where your energy is going. They show what you are truly building, not what you claim to be building. And if your actions don't match your goals, then your goals are just ideas, not direction. The hard truth is this: you are not waiting for success. Success is waiting for alignment. Alignment between what you want and what you do. So if your life doesn't match your words right now, don't look for excuses outside. Look at your daily behavior. That's where the truth is sitting. That's where the change has to begin, because the life you want will never respond to what you say you want. It will only respond to what you prove through action. The biggest gap in your life isn't between where you are and where you want to be. It's between what you say and what you actually do. And that gap is quietly deciding your future. Most people don't realize how dangerous this is. They think failure happens in one big moment, one big mistake, one big loss. But real failure is not loud. It's silent. It builds slowly inside the space between intention and action. Every time you say you will do something and don't do it, that gap grows a little wider. And over time, that gap becomes a lifestyle. You start living in contradiction. You speak like someone who is serious about success, but you behave like someone who is still negotiating with comfort. You talk about discipline, but your actions keep choosing ease. You talk about change, but your habits keep choosing repetition. And the more this happens, the more normalized it becomes. This is where people get trapped, not because they don't know better, but because they get used to not doing better. The real danger is not that you fail once, that you start accepting inconsistency as normal. You stop questioning it. You stop challenging it. You stop feeling uncomfortable about it. And once that happens, your standards quietly drop without you even noticing. That's how people end up stuck for years, still saying the same things, still planning the same goals, still dreaming the same dreams, but nothing changes because their actions are not catching up to their words. And here's the part that stings. Life doesn't respond to what you wish it would be. It responds to what you consistently show it. So when your words say, "I want success," but your actions say, "I choose distraction," life listens to your actions. When your words say, "I want discipline," but your actions say, "I'll start tomorrow," life listens to your actions. And slowly, without drama, your results start reflecting your actions, not your intentions. That's where failure hides. Not in a lack of desire, but in a lack of alignment. And the longer this gap stays open, the harder it becomes to close it. Because every day you repeat the same mismatch, you reinforce the identity of someone who doesn't follow through. And identity is powerful. It shapes your decisions before you even think about them. But here's the truth that can change everything if you accept it. You don't need a perfect start. You need alignment. Even a small action that matches your words starts to close that gap. One honest step, one completed task, one decision followed through without delay. Because every time your action matches your intention, you rebuild trust with yourself. And without that trust, discipline collapses. Motivation fades. Goals stay out of reach. So the question is not whether you want a better life. The question is whether your actions are finally going to match what you keep saying, because until that gap closes, your future will always stay one step ahead of your behavior. The moment you stop making excuses and start asking yourself the right question, your entire life begins to shift direction. Because the real breakthrough was never hidden in more information, more motivation, or more time. It has always been hidden in honesty. Brutal honesty, the kind that doesn't let you escape your own behavior, the kind that forces you to look at yourself without filters, without comfort, and without blame shifting. Right now, you already know what you need to do. That's not the issue anymore. The issue is that you've built a habit of questioning everything except your own inaction. You ask, "What should I do?" when deep down you already know the answer. You ask for more advice when what you really need is accountability. And that cycle keeps you stuck in thinking instead of doing. But everything changes the moment you flip the question. Instead of asking what to do, you ask why you are not doing it. That question is uncomfortable because it removes all hiding places. You can't blame confusion anymore. You can't blame timing anymore. You can't blame lack of guidance anymore. It brings the responsibility back to where it belongs, with you, and that's where transformation begins. Because now you're no longer dealing with surface-level distractions. You're dealing with the root. Why are you delaying something you know is important? Why are you avoiding the very action that could change your situation? Why do you keep choosing temporary comfort over long-term progress? When you ask those questions honestly, you start seeing patterns. You see fear showing up disguised as hesitation. You see laziness disguised as overthinking. You see comfort disguised as waiting for the right moment. And once you see those patterns clearly, you can't unsee them. That's the turning point most people avoid, because awareness creates responsibility, and responsibility demands change. But here's the truth that separates those who stay stuck from those who move forward. Nothing changes until action interrupts the pattern. You can analyze your life forever, but analysis without movement becomes another form of delay. At some point, thinking has to end and execution has to begin. That doesn't mean everything will be perfect. It means you finally decide that imperfection is better than stagnation. And the shift doesn't have to be massive at first. It just has to be real. One honest action that proves you are no longer avoiding yourself. One decision that breaks the cycle of delay. One step that shows you are done negotiating with your potential, because once you start acting, clarity follows, confidence follows, momentum follows. But none of it arrives while you are still standing still, asking the same questions and avoiding the same answers. So the real challenge is not finding out what to do. You already know that. The real challenge is finally being honest about why you haven't done it yet and refusing to stay in that state any longer. Because the moment honesty turns into action, your life stops repeating and starts moving forward. So hear this clearly. This is where everything either changes or stays the same. You already know what you need to do. You've known it longer than you're willing to admit. Every excuse you used, every delay you justified, every tomorrow you promised. It all ends right here, right now. Because at this point, it's not about information anymore. It's about decision, a real one. The kind you don't walk back from. The kind that says, I'm done negotiating with my own future. You've spent enough time thinking, enough time waiting, enough time convincing yourself that later will be easier, but later never becomes easier. It just becomes more expensive, more regret, more distance between who you are and who you were meant to be. And let's be honest, life doesn't reward awareness. It rewards action. So if you truly see what's been holding you back, then stop treating it like a theory and start treating it like a problem that needs to be solved today. Not tomorrow. Not next week. Today, because the truth is simple. Nothing changes for the person who keeps choosing comfort over commitment. Nothing shifts for the person who keeps waiting for motivation to show up first. Nothing grows for the person who keeps postponing their own responsibility, but everything changes the moment you decide that enough is enough. The moment you stop lying to yourself. The moment you stop asking for more time and start using the time you already have. The moment you stop watching your life happen and start directing it. That's the line. Right there. And once you cross it, there's no going back to the old version of you. So don't leave this as another message you heard. Don't let it become another moment you agreed with and ignored. Let it become the moment you finally chose action over excuses. Because the life you keep dreaming about isn't waiting for a better version of you. It's waiting for the real you to finally show up.